It's someone who sleeps all day and stays awake all night.
Everyone knows that Peppa Pig is one of the most beloved children's shows worldwide. But what if I told you there's a terrifying dark secret hiding behind one of its most trusted characters? A secret so chilling that once you see the evidence, you'll never look at this innocent show the same way again. One spine-tingling moment that made this absolutely undeniable was captured in a YouTube video featuring the song about Madame Gazelle's haunted castle during Halloween. In this seemingly innocent scene, when Peppa goes to play with Madame Gazelle, there's a mirror lurking in the background. But here's where things get absolutely terrifying. In that mirror, we only see Peppa's reflection, as if she's completely alone, even though her teacher is standing right in front of her. But it gets even more disturbing. We actually see Peppa herself getting genuinely scared when she realizes that only SHE has a reflection. Madame Gazelle looks directly at the little pig through that cursed mirror, completely unbothered by the fact that others can see she doesn't appear in reflection. And if you know anything about vampire legends, you know that one of their most terrifying traits is having no reflection in any mirror or surface, because only beings with souls can be seen in reflections, something vampires completely lack. This was just one shocking instance where we didn't see Madame Gazelle's reflection, and it's one of the most bone-chilling pieces of evidence that there really is something very different and dark about this character. Another spine-chilling moment in the show that screams supernatural origin happened in the episode where Peppa volunteers to take care of Madame Gazelle's 2 guinea pigs. The innocent pig agrees to care for Ginger and Brian while the teacher goes on a mysterious vacation, perhaps returning to her ancient homeland, which we'll dive into shortly. When Peppa's parents arrive, the teacher shows them a list of care instructions they absolutely must not forget while she's away. But one particular item on this list will make you question everything. It's necessary to brush the guinea pigs for several times throughout the day, with one of these brushings happening exactly at the stroke of midnight. But who in their right mind would wake up in the dead of night to brush guinea pigs? Unless you're a nocturnal creature who never sleeps, and the darkness is your natural hunting ground, just like all vampires that stalk the night. This would explain perfectly why Madame Gazelle does this every single night. For her, this is completely natural because she probably never sleeps. This would also explain why she always wears that distinctive blue eyeshadow to hide the dark circles that make it painfully obvious this children's teacher never rests, spending every night wide awake. After all, it's not in her vampiric nature to need human rest, and this revelation explains so many disturbing things about her behavior. Drop #Gazelle in the comments if you're starting to see the terrifying truth about Peppa Pig's mysterious teacher. Another piece of evidence that absolutely confirms Peppa Pig's teacher has a darker, supernatural nature relates to her impossible age. Although she's not a parent herself, Madame Gazelle appears to be someone who's lived for hundreds of years, something that would be completely impossible for any ordinary living being. One of the most shocking facts proving this point happens in the heart-wrenching episode where everyone gathers to say goodbye to their beloved teacher, thinking she's leaving forever. When Peppa Pig's father hears this devastating news, he and his wife casually reveal something absolutely mind-blowing. Madame Gazelle was the educator responsible for teaching both him and Peppa and George's mother when they were children. Now let's face the terrifying reality here. Although you can notice the character has aged slightly in appearance, she doesn't seem to have aged anywhere close to the point where she should look like someone's grandmother. Just look at Grandpa Pig and Grandpa Dog, who have white beards and mustaches, clearly showing the brutal effects of time passing. Meanwhile, Madame Gazelle looks practically identical to her version that taught all the current moms and dads in the show decades ago. This is only possible because vampires never age. They remain frozen with the exact same appearance as when they first became vampires, for all eternity. And this isn't the only bone-chilling evidence of the schoolteacher's ancient, supernatural age. As strange and unsettling as it may seem, even vampires celebrate Christmas, at least Madame Gazelle does. And this leads us to another piece of absolutely damning evidence that confirms the vampire identity of this seemingly innocent schoolteacher. When Peppa and her family visit the teacher's mysterious house, she casually mentions that the house started showing structural defects so long ago that she can't even remember when it began. But when they venture to the other side of the house, they discover something that should be absolutely impossible: a gigantic Christmas tree that towers at the exact same height as Madame Gazelle's massive 4-story house. Here's the most chilling part. The teacher reveals she planted this tree when it was practically still a tiny sapling, But research shows that for a Christmas tree to reach the towering height of 12 meters, exactly the height of a 4-story building, it takes almost 40 years of growth. In other words, between the time Madame Gazelle planted that innocent little sapling and the day Peppa's family visited her haunted house, 4 entire decades have passed. The most spine-tingling detail of all? When this happened, Madame Gazelle was already a fully grown adult and a widow, because we can see the exact same portrait of her deceased husband hanging on the wall from 40 years ago and today. This means she can practically be considered an immortal being, just like the vampires of legend. Moreover, when Mr. Bull points out that there are bats living in the ancient tree, Madame Gazelle gets this distant, haunting look and says they remind her of her mysterious old country, a land where there are countless bats. Where could this dark homeland possibly be? As we mentioned at the terrifying beginning, not having a reflection is the same as not having a soul, which is why vampires don't appear in mirrors or photographs. Madame Gazelle's complete absence of reflection becomes even more evident in other spine-chilling moments besides the one we've already revealed. In Peppa Pig's Halloween special during the 6th season, we witness another bone-chilling scene. We see Susie, who is the protagonist's best friend, talking to Madame Gazelle and proudly showing her vampire costume to the teacher. At this exact moment, just like what happened with Peppa in our first terrifying example, there's absolutely no reflection of Madame Gazelle in the mirror behind her. Only Susie appears, as if she's talking to a ghost. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. When innocent Susie says she's playing at being a vampire, Madame Gazelle lets out a deep, haunting sigh and states that those words bring back many memories of her homeland, memories of a place where vampires roam freely. What mysterious homeland could possibly bring back vampire memories? The only answer that makes sense is Transylvania, Dracula's legendary land of eternal darkness. This revelation, combined with the fact that she indeed casts no reflection, certainly wasn't an animation error but something deliberately placed in the episode to confirm the horrifying theory that Madame Gazelle is indeed a vampire. Another absolutely sinister aspect that proves we indeed have a creature of shadows hiding among the Peppa Pig character group is the undeniable fact that the show makes it crystal clear in several disturbing moments that the laws of physics and nature simply don't apply to Madame Gazelle. For example, in one particularly shocking episode, the teacher goes to play with the innocent children and manages to hit a ball with such supernatural force that it literally cracks the entire roof of the school. Now think about this carefully. Is it even remotely normal for an elderly lady supposedly over 100 years old to possess the ability to perform such an impossible feat? Honestly, that's completely impossible unless this person has tremendous, inhuman strength exactly like vampires are known to possess throughout dark legends. Another deeply unsettling occasion where we witness the school teacher doing something that completely contradicts what any ordinary human being could survive occurs in the episode Beach and Snow. In this chilling scene, we see the moms along with Madame Gazelle having the absolutely insane idea of going to the beach on a day when the snow is piled so high it completely covers Daddy Pig. The teacher tells everyone they can dive into the sea even with all the snow covering everything, claiming it's not frozen. Then she plunges into the icy white water as if it's absolutely nothing. She even declares the freezing water is wonderful. This is certainly something no ordinary person could endure without dying from hypothermia. Mommy Pig courageously tried to join her but got so violently cold that she practically shot out of the water immediately. Meanwhile, Madame Gazelle remained there completely calm in that water with temperatures close to zero, since there was nothing but snow that day. Everyone knows that vampires are cold-blooded creatures, so ice and freezing water don't affect their sensation of temperature exactly as we see Peppa Pig's teacher reacting with supernatural comfort. From everything we've uncovered so far, we can definitively say that Madame Gazelle is a creature completely different from any other character in the Peppa Pig show. There isn't just one indication that she possesses powers and conditions vastly different from everyone else, but several spine-chilling pieces of evidence. Incredibly, this may have been done deliberately by the brilliant creators of the show. This is because all the characters in Peppa Pig are inspired by animals that actually exist in nature: bulls, rhinoceroses, rabbits, elephants, and countless others. But here's the most mind-blowing revelation. Few people realize that there actually is a species of deer called the vampire gazelle. This deer species has 2 massive canine teeth that prominently stand out, although it doesn't have horns like Madame Gazelle's character design. Despite its absolutely frightening appearance, it's an animal that poses no danger to anyone. It's completely harmless. So it may really be that the show's creators intentionally decided to create this supernatural version among the Peppa Pig characters. Because although Madame Gazelle most likely is a vampire, we can clearly see that she's an excellent teacher and a character who doesn't represent any kind of evil or malice, quite the opposite. That's exactly why she's the perfect character for representing someone with mystical, supernatural powers, like casting no reflection in mirrors, hitting balls incredible distances with inhuman strength, and surviving in freezing conditions that would kill ordinary humans. All of these are abilities that don't harm anyone. They just prove beyond doubt that Madame Gazelle really is a different creature, as she's certainly a vampire gazelle living among us. We're leaving 2 incredible videos for you to check out next. Choose one and keep diving deeper into these mind-blowing mysteries with us.